All right, welcome to the Friday Reload number 17. Now, some of the top stories include Amazon takes on Google. That one's exciting, right? A case study on how to create a squeeze page that converts at 21.7%, how to connect with VIPs via email, and video SEO in a post-rich snippet world. Now, real quick, I want to make a shout out to anyone that might be at Marketing Mayhem in Orlando, listening to it from there, or that went to it this weekend. I should have been there. My brother's actually moving this weekend, so I decided to be a nice family man, help him move, and hang out with the family a little bit while we're all still together here in South Florida. Also, I'm drinking on a Mint Pura tea, which is pretty nice. I gotta say, I'm a big fan. If you're a tea person, definitely check out the Pura teas. I believe it's by Numa. Anyways, let's jump into this. Now, if this is your first Friday Reload, what we aim to do is get you caught up on what you might have missed in the week with the Friday Reload. We keep it short, sweet, and just the meat. So by that, I mean I cut through the fluff, I cut through the fat, and I only summarize the best posts, news, videos, softwares, and apps of the week. So let's dive right in. Now, the lead story, as always, is the Infusionsoft Marketer of the Year on conversions and funnel optimization. So Chris Brisson joined us this week on the Triggercast, and he told us a few different tricks that he uses to increase conversions and optimize his funnel. Now, we've used some of his tactics personally here at Digital Triggers and at Web1. We've seen huge revenue increases. I've also recently seen large companies such as Digital Marketer, you've probably heard of them, when they recently released their machine program and training, they had a two-step checkout. Now, you also see some of the major takeaways we cover here on the blog and in the video as well are the two-step checkout, the one-click upsell bumps, webinars, and the optimized webinar funnel. So check out that post. You know, even if you want to watch the video or just read through some of the major takeaways, really good interview. Really enjoyed it. Next up, we have the fun story. Amazon plans to take on Google AdWords. So prepare for battle. Amazon sponsored links could launch within the year. Now, Amazon and Google, whether you know or not, have an interesting relationship because it's competitive, but it's also symbiotic. Now, they might compete in online product search, for example, and local delivery services. But Amazon is also one of Google's largest text ad advertisers. And the online retailer also gets a cut of click revenues from running Google's AdSense ads on its site. But that's about to change. The Wall Street Journal reports that Amazon is working on a competitive platform to Google AdWords. The platform would be driven by the shopping data Amazon has amassed as the world's largest online retailer. Data, data, data. Now, Wall Street Journal also reports that Amazon could begin testing what it's calling the Amazon Sponsored Links program later this year. Amazon has this critical information in spades through its own site and to some extent through Login with Amazon, which allows Amazon's 250 million active customers to use their Amazon credentials to make purchases on other sites. So once again, what do we see here? Data leads to a competitive advantage. If you have the data, you have a competitive advantage. I mean, that's a big part of paid marketing that some people don't realize when they get into is that you have to spend a little bit of money just to get some data and see what's working. Anyways, anytime a big shakeup like this happens, it's always exciting. It's fun to see how these companies, what they do, and how's Google going to respond. And hopefully it works out to be better for us. Next up, we have a Facebook. So Facebook is cracking down on clickbaiting. So if you've ever seen one of those articles that has one of those crazy headlines, and the example they use here is, "You'll never believe which two stars got into a fight on the red carpet last night. Click to find out which starlet they were fighting over." So that kind of annoying stuff. Well, Facebook's been in a crackdown mood recently, and they will be punishing pages that use clickbait tactics to get you to check out articles. Now, here's how Facebook explained they will determine a clickbait headline. One way is to look at how long people spend reading an article away from Facebook. If people click on an article and spend time reading it, it suggests they click through to something valuable. If they click through to a link and then come straight back to Facebook, it suggests that they didn't find something that they wanted. With this update, we will start taking into account whether people tend to spend time away from Facebook after clicking a link or whether they tend to come straight back to the newsfeed when we rank stories with links in them. Another factor we will try to use and show fewer of these types of stories is to look at the ratio of people clicking on the content compared to people discussing it and sharing it with their friends. If a lot of people click on the link, but relatively few people click like or comment on the story when they return to Facebook, this also suggests that they didn't click through to something that was valuable to them. Now, Facebook cites a survey where 80% of participants preferred headlines that helped them decide if they wanted to read the full article before clicking through. Now, I am curious how this is going to affect, posting in general, because the two predominant ways to link to a website is through the native link sharing format and through a link in a photo caption. We all know how well photos do on Facebook. Facebook says, though, that they're going to start giving more weight to links that are posted directly through Facebook as opposed to a link accompanied by a photo upload. They say, we found that people often prefer to click on links that are displayed in the link format. The link format shows some additional information associated with the link, such as the beginning of the article, which makes it easier for someone to decide if they want to click through. This format also makes it easier for someone to click through on mobile devices, which have a smaller screen. With this update, we will prioritize showing links in the link format and show fewer links shared in captions or status updates. So, it will be interesting. To be quite honest, I think this is ideal. I'd rather have links get more weight. Like, that's what I want. But I know when I share a link, it doesn't do as well as a photo, about 9 times out of 10. So it sounds like they're going to be switching it up. And for anyone that finds this weird or wonders where this comes from, this is holding true to what Facebook has held true to, whether or not you believe it, which is being about user experience. Just how bounce rate we've seen it affect SEO, now we're seeing similar effects even on these social media platforms. So, pretty interesting little tidbit. Definitely change if you do post to Facebook or if you run ads on Facebook. Next up, we have 2 little Facebook updates. Facebook announces ad targeting based on bandwidth connection, so you can now target based on mobile connection 2G, 3G, or 4G. The Facebook Project Marketing Manager had this to say: targeting by mobile network type helps advertisers choose creative that will run smoothly on any given device in connection speed. Basically, if you're running videos, you want to run them against people that have higher connection speeds. I would also add that there's some sort of demographic feature which is the nice way of saying that people that have better connections probably potentially have more money and gives you more of a reason to go after 4G. Especially if you have videos. If you're running an ad for a video, anyone on a 2G connection, it's just wasted money. Next, we also have back to school, back to Facebook. So in July 2013, Facebook experienced its lowest volume of ad clicks at a level 25% below the baseline of January. But after that, Facebook ads are much more active. From July to August, there's a 38% upswing. They feel that this is Marin Software feels this is due to parents having more time once their kids are back in school. Additionally, college students could be using the site more around this time. Makes sense. So fear not, your Facebook ads are about to get clicked a lot. Now our next story is all about cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. Well, not quite. It's about how to connect with VPs, and it's 5 tips for cold emails. So Noah Kagan and his blog over at OKDork have been doing an amazing job. I have to say, I'm impressed, legitimately impressed, of featuring really great guest posts. What he seems to be doing is just whenever someone emails him and they're like, hey, I used one of your products to get a bunch of users, he's like, all right, cool, let's write a blog post. Or, this is a similar kind of example. It's really a smart move on his part because he doesn't even have to create the content, but yet he's still curating all this awesome content. So Noah sent this guy John, chocolate chip cookies. Now why? Well, it all started with an email that got his attention. Because of that one email, John was able to interview him for a guest post that he was writing and got him to come on his podcast, got valuable feedback from him on his blog, and now he's writing this guest post. So how did his email get Noah's attention? Let me jump back over into our Friday Reload here. The email that he sent managed to grab his attention was a perfect example of an effective email to a busy person who receives dozens or hundreds of messages and requests for their time each week. Now, why do you need to master email? No matter what you're doing in business or even life, being able to email someone important and get them to respond is pretty huge. Now, in the book To Sell is Human, Dan Pink argues that workers spend a large portion of their time today persuading, negotiating, and pitching than ever before, and much of this work is done by email. So, what was the email? I'm going to read it because, hey, who doesn't want to hear this? It's pretty simple, but hey. Now, the subject line, interview for Art of Manliness, question mark. Now the email. Hey, Noah. Thanks for your tweet about my Art of Manliness post mentioning you. I'm actually doing another piece for Art of Manliness about why people should share their failures, and I wanted to see if I could grab 5 to 7 minutes of your time to talk, preferably via Skype, about your Facebook experience and what effect talking about it openly has had on others. The basic idea of the piece is that sharing your failures makes people more human and relatable. Let me know if you're interested in how we can set it up. John. P.S. Here's me quoting our mutual friend Andrew Warner in Forbes. P.P.S. Here's another Forbes piece I wrote featuring your buddy Ramit. P.P.P.S. I love tacos too, so I can't be a bad guy. Now, why did this email work? He breaks it down. He says, first, it worked because the subject line was relevant. You want the subject line to quickly tell your recipient either why they would benefit from opening your email or how they know you. Number 2, the benefit was clearly articulated. Number 3, the time commitment was short. Now, he said the interview would only take 5 to 7 minutes of his time. And if you're asking someone for something, you want to make the commitment so small and the benefit so great that they can't possibly pass it up. And number 4, especially if it's the first time you guys are ever talking, like no one wants to end up on an hour phone call. Number 4, the email message itself answered all the questions. His email message to provide all the details Noah would need in order for him to make a decision about his interview requests. Now he moves on to his 5 tips for creating successful cold emails. Some of this I'm sure you've probably heard before, but he does still kind of cover it in a different light, and I think it's an important skill, so that's why we're still going to revisit it. So, that being said, number 1, grease the wheels ahead of time. So one of the best things you can do before emailing someone cold is get them to get to know you through other channels, particularly through social media. He calls it greasing the wheels. One time I asked Ryan Holiday, what's the best way to get a cold introduction to someone? And his response was don't. Get someone who knows them and you know to introduce you to them. And that's the whole kind of trade-up theory. So if you don't know a high-level executive or a CEO, if you can talk to people and make friends with someone they know, you can kind of trade up the ladder until you can get the introduction to that person. So tip number 2, be brief. One of the best things you can do when emailing a busy person is keep your email very short. Even though most people have heard this tip, he's still shocked at the incredibly long emails he receives. And he probably receives a small fraction of the amount of email traffic that Noah receives. Here's an example sequence. Email 1 is an intention getter, a sincere compliment. Now the point of this first email is you're simply trying to get a response. So you might use a sincere compliment or perhaps mention the person in a blog post mention the person in a blog post that you've written and then email them to tell the person about it. Number 2, make personal connection over something you have in common. So in your second email or first reply email, you want to continue the conversation by making a personal connection. If you mention in your first email that you're both from San Francisco, then in this reply email you may continue discussing common interests such as too bad about the 49ers this year or I just can't get a decent burrito ever since I moved from Mission to the Hot. Number 3 is the real purpose for emailing the VIP. It's not until the third email that you actually bring up the real purpose for your email. Why? Because if you've already made a personal connection and deepened it, then the VIP is more primed to say yes to your request at this point. Tip number 3, communicate how you will benefit them. Remember, it's all about what's in it for them. It's not about what's in it for you. It's about what's in it for them. Noah's already written about some of these things before, but it still bears repeating. It doesn't matter what you want. It only matters what you can do for the person you're emailing. Number 4, make it fun. Another great approach is to demonstrate that you have a personality and a sense of humor in your email, which he wouldn't recommend emailing a busy person solely with the goal of making them laugh, but it is a good idea to keep things light in your email. Now, I would almost disagree with this point slightly. If for some reason you can make them laugh, that might be a great lighthearted introduction kind of opener. But laughter and comedy can be pretty subjective. But the point here is you want to show some personality. You want to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. You don't want to be so gray. I don't know. I always use that word gray. I think gray walls. Whenever I think of boring corporate stuff, I just think of gray walls. Don't be gray walls. Be green walls. Be blue walls. Point is, sound like a real person and keep it lighthearted. Keep it fun. Tip number 5, find things you have in common. One of the best ways to make a connection with any busy VIP is by finding what you have in common. It's much more difficult to ignore a cold email if it's from someone who you share something in common with, such as you're from the same hometown or you have a friend in common or you lived in the same city around the same time. All right, now on to our next story, which is video SEO in a post-apocalyptic world. No, it's video SEO in a post-rich snippet world. So, as you probably heard, video SEO has changed and the dust has settled a bit. Now, I want to make a quick shout out, and if you like video SEO, if this is something you're into or you want to get into, and it's actually one of the probably best and easiest ways to rank in SEO right now, check out our free cheat sheet that reveals a video SEO ranking system that'll have you dominating in hours. Step 2 contains a very crucial but overlooked tactic that has created great results for us. Now you can get that link by going onto the blog. It's right under video SEO in a post-rich snippet world. Great cheat sheet. Highly recommend checking it out if video SEO is your thing. Now back to the snippet world. Back in July, Google rolled out a bunch of changes in the way they treat rich snippets in the search results. Now there's a fantastic post by AJ Cohn, which I mentioned in the honorable mentions. One of these shifts was to dramatically scale back the prevalence of video snippets in universal search results, restricting them exclusively to domains where video is the core offering of the site. Now when I first reported this, there was about 8 to 10 different sites mainly that still had videos. As of August 2014, the most frequent video snippet domains, probably take a guess. You can probably sit there and take an educated guess. I want you to think. Pop into your head, what do you think the most frequent? YouTube. Of course YouTube. And YouTube not only is the most, but it's 91.95%. The closest one is Dailymotion at 1.8%, then Vimeo at 1.1%, and then it drops off to 0.3% and just keeps going down from there. So basically the only thing that's showing up for video snippets is YouTube. Now, why did Google do this? They present a few different theories here. Now, number 1, and these are all the theories from the blog, not my personal theories, but I do agree with them to a point. Number 1, making YouTube the source of the overwhelming majority of video results in Google search will send more traffic to YouTube, get more companies to put all their videos on YouTube, and thereby sell more and more ads. He says, I'd like to believe this isn't a primary motivator, but frankly, it's absurd that this query receives a video result. And he links to a query that has a video result, and he thinks it's kind of silly. Number 2, video snippets were just far too easy to spam. You could get video results for almost any page just by implementing the correct markup. This was having a negative impact on user experience. That word comes up a lot. And therefore it made sense to strip the videos back to just pages and domains where videos were clearly the core offering. This is almost certainly part of the reason. You could even get video snippets without having a video on the page. Number 3, video results were rendering awkwardly on mobile devices. And with mobile search becoming more and more important, it made sense to strip them back. And number 4, Google is keen to get people using the tabbed search features more, and removing a lot of videos from universal search forces users to be more explicit when they want a video. Note that any domains can still rank in the videos tab with full, rich snippets. So, does this affect your video marketing strategy? Yes, it does. This means that YouTube's importance and value as a marketing channel, particularly where SEO is concerned, has expanded considerably. Google's favoritism towards their own platform, alongside the continued focus on domain diversity within SERPs, means that YouTube can now be considered a scalable and easy way to get content ranking for some competitive terms, securing an eye-catching snippet in the process. In terms of owning Google SERP real estate, YouTube has just become one of the most powerful tools in any SEO's arsenal. So, that being said, where should you host your videos? Now, without giving the full breakdown, it's pretty simple. If it's at the top of the funnel and you're trying to generate traffic and you're kind of just looking to get more visibility, YouTube. If you're looking for more conversions, then it's Wistia. And it's really, or a different third-party secure solution. It really is that simple. Now, we included on our site some of their different charts, and there's a bit more information on you being able to figure that out, but really it's really pretty cut and dry, I think. If you're trying to get a lot of traffic, you're trying to get things out there, it's probably YouTube. If it's more of a sales page, maybe a landing page, then it's more Wistia. And there is different strategies based on what you're trying to do with your videos. All right, now we are going to jump into tool time, but stay tuned because afterwards we'll be featuring a case study on how to create a squeeze page that converts at 21.7%. So, tool time. Now the first part of tool time, we have the mailbox for Mac. Now, this has been kind of blowing up. It was originally on the iPhone, now it's on Mac as well. The reason why it's so big is because you were able to fly through your email. They've switched up, how you can process email, and people are loving it. I mean, who doesn't have a problem with email? In reality, I mean, my work email, I keep it very tight. My personal email, still a bit overflown, a bit more overflown than I'd like. And I think that's how it is for most people. So if you have a Mac, you want to check this out. Now, it is currently in beta, but the beta coins aren't too hard to get. That product hunt link that I linked to on the blog will take you there. And there's also a review on Verge where it talks about how he burned through his inbox with Mailbox for Mac. Now, our next tool or product or app or software, whatever you want to call it, is Doubly. And their tagline is Pimp Your Selfies. So they help you take awesome selfies by adding swag. Now, you're probably saying, Sweeney, why are you even mentioning a selfie-taking app? Is your demographic 13-year-olds? No. The reason why I'm mentioning it is because I was very impressed by their word-of-mouth testing. So, I'm going to include what founder Shane Walker said below. We do all the obvious in-app stuff, but what we really wanted to focus on was a concept with a strong word-of-mouth component. BGR reported this year that word-of-mouth was up to 77%, 80-20 rule, of how mobile apps were downloaded. So we did a really interesting and I think unique test to choose a concept with the highest likelihood of spreading via word-of-mouth. We did a spin-off of Aaron Patzer's Mint concept test, where he'd stand at the Caltrain station and gauge people's reactions to the concept of Mint. We did something similar, but as a twist intended for mobile apps, we would tell them about the app, show them the app, ask some questions about the app, but intentionally never mention the app's name. The person being surveyed ever asked what the app's name was or how to find it, we'd mark down yes for word of mouth. The rationale was that in the real world, you would usually ask your friend what app is it that they're using. Now, trying to measure that had always been speculative. Well, we came out of those tests with a ranked list of concepts people wanted to download right there. Doubly was the clear winner with over 70% asking for it, winning over many, many high-minded concepts. So it's interesting what apps didn't make it and the selfie app did. Now, they said a hat tip to Preet, the youngest PM at Zynga, for the idea on the word-of-mouth test. Now, he also has a link to a full article about it at Next Web, and you can find that at the Product Hunt page or once again on the main Friday Reload page. So really, I just love the concept of everyone's always like, oh, buy Facebook ads or buy Google AdWords, drive them to a landing page. If people sign up, then they want your app, and they want to check your stuff out. And he said no. He said, we're going to go talk to people, and we're going to use this method to figure out what apps people are actually interested in. I think that's pretty powerful, pretty cool. If you have a quote-unquote good idea, this kind of methodology for testing it could definitely work. I mean, say you're at Marketing Mayhem, say you're at Traffic and Conversion, one of these bigger events. You could literally go around stopping people and asking them, hey, I had this idea for a product. Or, you could use this for different products and ask people in person and see what they really want. I don't know. I think it's pretty powerful. Next up, we have the complete iOS 7 course. Learn by building 14 apps. Over 350 videos take you step by step through the process of building 14 different applications in iOS 7 and iCode 5. This might be a bit outside of our range, but this $500 course is free right now. Free. And if that doesn't convince you, this is what Anarker Nagpal said. Arguably the highest quality online course I've ever seen on programming. John and Elliot have recorded over 300 lectures walking you through the creation of 14 different iOS applications from scratch, culminating in a Tinder clone. The course has sold over 20,000 copies to date, but in light of their upcoming Swift course launch, it's completely free for the Product Hunt community. I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? I grabbed it because, hey, you can always grab it now, and you don't have to, if you don't want to go through it, you don't go through it. But the best course ever on programming that normally costs $500 and it's free, we all know how big of a deal programming is, how fast software and apps are moving, and how much money is there. And we have a small little sneak peek on the inside on the blog. As always, you can grab the link for that on the blog on how to get that course for free. I think if you just go to the main page, let me see, I'll load it up right now. Yep, it's $500. The coupon code, I do believe, is Product Hunt. Once again, we have the link on the main page, but yep. So it seems like you do need to go through the link on the main page, and that's how you should be able to get it for free. I don't know how long this coupon code is for, so you might want to go snag it. Next up, we have Fedora, a platform for courses. So this is how you can create a stunning online school. Everything you need to sell courses from your websites. Now, Anarker Nagpal is actually the founder of it. And after personally dealing with the woes of multiple different membership sites and course platforms, whether it's Udemy or I've tried some different proprietary software, I've hated a lot of different things. This one looks pretty good. It intrigues me. It seems rather beautiful on the inside. I saw the inside of it with that course that I just mentioned. And it's got reasonable pricing and setups. It includes basic integration with MailChimp and Aweber, and it's free. If your course is free, it's free. It charges on a transaction and a per month basis, so it scales nicely. It includes bandwidth and custom domains, charge subscriptions, all these different kind of things. And I gotta say, it is really nice. So if you've thought about creating a course, maybe you have your own website, but you don't have optimized press, or you don't want to, deal with all that hassle, I'd say check it out. I mean, at the price of free, being able to get 100 to 200, 300 people in there and still integrate it with MailChimp or Aweber, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. Next up, we have Whiteboard Fox. So this is a simple online whiteboard, and it allows you to share a virtual whiteboard in real time using any modern browser. Here's my very horrible drawing. You can see there's some graph paper, and you can draw on it. And what's great about it is that it syncs in seconds and it's tablet friendly. It's simple and it does only what it needs to do. It's a whiteboard that you can draw on and someone else can draw on. So whether you're sketching up maybe a product, or a website with a designer, you're doing, kind of some UI or user experience flow, whatever. Maybe you're just doing notes for a meeting. Boom, you have something you can use. And I do believe it is free. I don't see any, yep, free. So not bad. Also, it's tablet friendly and it syncs fast. So, I mean, that's not bad. I have a video that gives a nice overview of the benefits if you'd like to check that out. Next up, we have PickReel, and this is the cheapest exit pop I have seen. Now, there was a free one, Oi Bounce, but it seemed like it probably needed a bit more technical skills. As you know, most likely, we've talked about exit pop-ups a lot. If you haven't heard about them, they work extremely well. Feel free to tweet me at digtrig, D-I-G-T-R-I-G, and I can point you to some material showing you how well they work. I know they've worked extremely well for me, or I can give you some suggestions on how you might implement one for yourself. Now, what's cool about PickReel is it has a 30-day free trial, no credit card, and the pricing starts at just $19 a month after that. It seems to have a focus on e-commerce, but it should be adaptable and usable for anything. Now, next up, we have how to create a squeeze page that converts at 21.7%. And I seem to have linked this wrong, so I will have to actually find this link real quick. So this comes to us from Backlinko, and this is a case study, and he shares how he stumbled upon, let me see, man, he's all about the case studies. He shares how he stumbled upon a squeeze page that converts at 21.7%. Now, his main discovery was that creating a beautifully designed landing page that is optimized for social sharing works very well. So here's a 3-step process that he used to develop to create this kind of page. I gotta say, I do like it. Step 1, choose your social squeeze page's topic. Now he says this is huge. Unlike a traditional squeeze page, your social squeeze page's topic can't simply be sign up and get a free ebook. Instead, you need to find a topic that your target audience is desperate to know more about. In other words, unless someone is starving for information, they're not going to give you their email address. He made the topic a real-life case study, how to rank for any keyword. This is the exact 1-2 punch I used to rank number 5 for backlinks. Bottom line, choose an in-demand topic that your audience has trouble finding reliable information on. Number 2, create your social squeeze page. Now, of course, the step 2 is not easy because it has 8 different steps to a social squeeze page. He does break it down quite nicely, though, and it's really not too difficult. I mean, really, it's just headline, social sharing buttons, subheadline, call to action, video, opt-in form, comments, opt-in form. So nothing too crazy. If you go to the original post, which we do have a link to on the blog, or you can find it backlinko.com/social-squeeze-page, you can check out the original post, which gives a longer breakdown of each of the elements. And step 3, you need to promote your social squeeze page. When someone lands on a page with dozens of tweets, Facebook likes, and comments, they instinctively view the page as high value. It makes sense. In other words, the more social proof you generate, the better your page will convert. Now, I know these Friday reloads are getting a bit longer, and I think this one I actually kept pretty short, and more in the 30-minute mark, which is where I want to keep them. But I have been coming across great content. So I'm going to include some honorable mentions. You can find these on the blog at digitaltriggers.io/Friday-reload-17. The first one is content promotion, the difference between brands with fans and anonymous content. It's a very meaty post, but it's one of the better posts I've seen. It helps to break down the whole, I wrote something, but no one saw it. I mean, if you don't have thousands of visitors or a bunch of fans or a big marketing budget, how do you get your content out there? This goes into it. The next one is on the rich snippets algorithm, which breaks down rich snippets and how they've changed. The next one is by Moe's, and this is local event marketing. Earn links, build citations, get reviews, increase foot traffic, and win local SEO. Now, this also works for lawyers, dentists, and other service companies. Next one is you're doing AdWords wrong, and here's how to make it right by Unbounce. Next up, easily predict the future performance of your PPC account. And lastly, 12 ingenious e-commerce tools you may have missed. Hope you guys like the reload. All my American friends, enjoy Labor Day weekend. All my marketing buddies, enjoy marketing mayhem. And if you're non-American folk, hey, just enjoy your weekend. Appreciate you joining me for another Friday reload. I hope to see you back on Tuesday and back again on next Friday. Sweeney signing off, and I will catch you again.